Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Okay. So first of all, welcome to Vision IS GTB Center. Uh, Before we start, how many of you are from Delhi University? Okay, nice. And how many of you are going to appear in 2025 exam, UPSC? Okay, and I hope that there's no one from 2024. Okay. 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 So see, today we have been organizing this open session for a very long time, and this is an open session on how to prepare for general studies for UPSC. Okay. So we have selected four core areas, four core subjects, which are very crucial for UPSC preparation. We'll start with history, then we'll start with geography, followed by polity, and finally economics. Okay. So for this history, we have Neeraj Rao sir. Polity, we have Jatin sir. And for economics, we have Piyush Gambhir sir. Okay, so all of them are renowned faculty, very senior faculty members. See, the whole objective of the session is that we have been seeing a lot of different trends. Okay, initially what used to happen is people who have been preparing for a very long time could succeed in this exam. But lately what is happening is aspirants in their very first attempt are succeeding in this exam, right? So what is the reason behind this? They're preparing while they are still in college. Okay, they're third year, fourth year, right? So they're starting early. And this session is meant as a platform to help you prepare for all these aspects. What should be the strategy for various subjects? So all these things we'll be discussing. We'll also discuss what should be the right approach, what should be the subject that you should be following, what should be the books that you should be referring to. All these things will be covered. Okay, and if you have any questions, keep it brief and precise. You will be passed on mics. Make sure that you speak on that mic. Okay, so with that note, I'll be calling Neeraj Rao sir, who will be starting with history. Thank you.
So hi, good afternoon. So let's start with one anecdote. You know that what's the bad news? The bad news is the time flies by. But you know what is the good news? That you are the pilot and it's all in your control. So welcome to your new endeavor. I hope you are embarking on the journey of the UPSC. You are going to participate in this exam, and with all the best, I'm starting this particular new journey of yours, and welcome to Vision. So this session is all about that how you will be preparing for general studies in this exam. And I hope that you must have taken one aware decision that once you are embarking on this particular UPSC exam preparation, so what are the nuances of the exam? That what is the syllabus? These are the some questions which are hovering. And moreover, what is the syllabus, how to prepare, what all sections are there? And the initial confusion is all about that how much time it takes and then what to refer, what not to refer. So we'll try to address these all questions through this session and for each and every important topic of it. So as you know that there are 4 sessions, and the very first one is starting from the history, and the second would be geography, third would be polity, and the fourth one is the economics. So let's start with the history session then. So we'll keep it a little bit interactive also so that your questions can be addressed. So first of all, that do you have idea of the syllabus of this exam? That have you seen it? Have you seen it? Moreover, do you have idea that what all services do come under this exam? generally that we have a fair idea about the IAS, IPS, IFS, then IRS, but then there are n number of the n number of the services which come under the category of this exam. So what are those services? There are the services like Indian corporate law, trade services, armed force headquarters services, DANIX and DANIPS. So good number of 16 or 17 services are there in this particular that are that they are conducted through this exam. So once you get the selection, so as per your high ranking, you can get the first 3, 4, but then the ranking, if it goes down, so then those services, either DANIX, DANIPS or Group A services that you'll be getting. So I'll not take much of your time, but now, just once again, I'm asking that do you have the idea that what's been asked in the prelim stage of exam and what's been asked in the mains stage of exam? Or if you don't have the idea, so you are at the right place. We are here to tell you that what will come in the different stages of the exam and how you will be starting your initial journey before taking a considered decision that you will be joining any organization, institution for the further coaching and further guidance. Before that, you can prepare, you can start with some of the basic books and some of the important books. So let's start with that. So as far as the history subject is concerned, now understand. So how many parts of the history are there in the syllabus of the exam, and then after the weightages also. So history, 2 stages of exam, that 2 stages of exam, prelims and mains examination. In the prelims exam, the syllabus is given in a congruous manner, meaning that कि बहुत clarity के साथ नहीं दिया हुआ है. And what is this mentioned? That history of India, which will also include the national freedom struggle. So history of India has not been elaborated in the prelim stage of exam. Syllabus में बस इतना ही लिखा हुआ है. That's one word. So what it will include? History of India will include ancient India, it will include medieval India, so as the modern Indian history. And it also includes the art and culture of India, which is implicit in the syllabus itself. So art and culture of India. So let's start one by one these all parts. The mains ke stage mein, syllabus is little different and some more part of the history has been included. So for example, that in mains stage of exam, world history is also there. And world history ke alawa post independence developments are also there, but that is not mentioned in the prelim stage of exam. So we'll come to that part, that what will be asked in the mains stage of exam. So let's talk about the ancient history, which is an important part in both the stages of exam. Either it is prelims or mains. Then so ancient history, from where you start the ancient history, or from where we start the study of the ancient history in this exam? Any idea? So prehistoric times. What is prehistoric times? The Stone Age. Then, so the history study or ancient history starts with the prehistoric times, and that is Stone Age. So Stone Age is a particular phase of the history in which there were no written records, and we were able to reconstruct the ancient prehistoric times only on the basis of the implements and the tools which were used by the human beings. And what are these implements and tools? Stone tools which were used by them, and maybe some paintings that they have created inside the caves. So we were able to understand that how was their life then. But then comes the proto-history part. We are talking about the ancient history, दिमाग में रखना, ठीक है? And then I'll move to the next topic, that is medieval. So ancient history में, the next part is the proto-history. Proto-history is that part of the history in which the written records are there, but nobody has been able to decipher. In other words, we can say कि लिखे हुए चीजें तो हैं पर पढ़ा नहीं जा सका है. Then, so that is the proto-history. The best example is the Indus Valley civilization. So that you study in that after the you study proto-history, and then comes the part of the history, meaning the recorded history, जिसके evidence भी हैं, written records भी हैं. So everything is there, which can be deciphered also, which is very well documented also. So that is the history. So now, when it comes to the historical aspect of India, or basically the written record aspect of India, and very clear documentation and very clear information, so it will start from the age which we call Vedic age. Okay? So around 1500, as per the belief then, that there was adventure of the Aryans into India, And these Aryans then, that they came from the Central Asia, and with their arrival, use of the Sanskrit language and beginning of the Vedic age. So Vedic age is the next phase. Then that 1500 BC onwards till 6th century BC. In this duration, when you are going into the study of this particular part, so what areas you need to focus? That what was the polity during the Vedic age, economy of the people during this particular age, and also the social and religious practices during this age. So polity, economy, society, then and religion. So these all aspects are to be looked after. Then moreover, when you are further studying, so from these areas, particularly in the prelims examination, UPSC is always asking a name based question or term based question. So for example, कोई term तुम्हें बता देंगे, वो लिख देंगे, and then you will have to identify the meaning of the term. So for example, that if a word is mentioned gavisthe, then and UPSC will be asking that what is the meaning of this word. So the meaning of this word is the search for the cows. So that would be, these are the terms which you will have to look out then while you are studying. So very often questions are asked from this. Now after the Vedic history, after the part of the Vedic period, which is divided into two ages, early Vedic age and later Vedic age. Early Vedic age was from 1500 to 1000 BC, and 1000 BC to 6th century BC was the later Vedic age. In the later Vedic, after the end of the later Vedic age, that is the 6th century BC, in India there were so many developments which were happening. And what were those developments? So developments were basically rise of the religious reform movement. And what is this religious reform movement? In fact, you are getting a timeline also. The way I'm telling you, it is a timeline also, and in this way you can prepare also. You can start your preparation also. So 6th century BC, the religious reform movement were in the form of the Buddhism and Jainism. Okay? So Buddhism and Jainism. And Buddhism and Jainism on one hand, on the other hand, there is a rise of the big kingdoms in India. These big kingdoms are known as Mahajanpad. So 16 Mahajanpads emerged in Indian subcontinent. I'm using the word Indian subcontinent, which will include today's Pakistan also, entire Bangladesh, so as Nepal also. So 16 Mahajanpads emerged in the different parts of the Indian subcontinent, and they went on to become the big kingdoms of the Indian subcontinent. In this particular, that 16 Mahajanpad, there is a one which became strongest by the 3rd century BC, and that is the Magad. Then, so it's good that you know. So Magad, and history, ancient history is more about the history of the Magad. So in history of the Magad, when you are further embarking, further moving ahead in the syllabus, so in the history of the Magad, you read about the various dynasties which ruled in the Magad. Then, so for example, you are starting with the Haryanka, then Seshunak dynasty, Nanda dynasty, and finally by 321 BC, the foundation of the Mauryas. Then, so in Mauryas, the focus of the UPSC exam nowadays is more on the Maurya period. From last 10 years, they have asked large number of the questions in the prelims examination from the Maurya age. Then, and moreover, what type of questions? So basically from the period of the Ashoka. And Asoka's inscription edicts then. So his inscriptions in the different parts of the country, his initiatives related to the stupa, his initiatives related to the Buddhism. So 3 rulers are important in the Maurya age. That is basically Chandragupta Maurya, then Bindusar, and then the Ashoka. After the death of the Ashoka, the Maurya dynasty comes to an end. And then after the end of the Mauryas, the age in India is called as post-Maurya age. So post-Maurya age, what it is all about, that in this there were, jaise ki maan lo that Mauryas when they were there, Ashoka when he was there, he was controlling the entire Indian subcontinent. But then after his death, the Indian subcontinent has been divided into many dynasties. Some of the dynasties were foreigners, and some of them were the Indian origin dynasties also. So since there was no one central authority, and there were a number of the dynasties, so this age is not named after any of the dynasties, but only after the Mauryas, and that's how we call it post-Maurya, Maurya ke baad. So in this part of the history also, you have to inquire about the developments in the different dynasty phases. So you need to read about Kushanas, Indo-Scythians, Sakas, as far as the foreigners are concerned, Parthians, and in the indigenous dynasties, Sungas, Satavahanas, Kanavas, then so their history and the development, major developments during their period. Now, एक और चीज दिमाग में हमेशा बांध के रखना that history part is more about the timeline also. So there is a myth that people often ask कि क्या date याद करना जरूरी है, exact date. See, in UPSC exam, exact date is not emphasized. But what is important? Periods you must know. Who came after whom? And एक हिंदी में word होता है, I hope all of you are understanding a little bit of Hindi. So हिंदी में एक word होता है मोटा मोटे तौर पे. Have you heard? So meaning that you will have to, you must have a fair idea that किस period के बाद कौन start हो रहा है. And that we had a session 2-3 days back about the 7-year paper of the ancient and medieval. So there, one clear trend we have seen that there is a timeline question. Time and again, every year timeline question. So you must be well versed with the timeline. Then after this period, post-Maurya period, these all dynasties. We go to the South India also, because in South India some new dynasties have emerged, and these dynasties are called as Sangam Age dynasty, and there are 3 dynasties which are Chola, Chera and Pandyas. Then so their history in the similar way you have studied post-Maurya, you will have to study them also. But then comes around 319 AD, a new dynasty was founded, or new rulership was founded in the northern India, and that was the Guptas. So 319 AD to 550 AD was the rule of the Guptas. They, once again, after the Mauryas, they were the most powerful rulers after them. So most powerful rulers after them. And in fact, they were also controlling near about 70% area of the Indian subcontinent. So they were ruling with hell lot of power. And when their decline has happened, so the next dynasty in the ancient history is the Vardhan dynasty or Pushyabhuti dynasty. I hope that you must have heard at least the name of the Harshvardhan. कम से कम हर्षवर्धन का नाम तो सुना होगा, ठीक है? तो Harshvardhan's regime, and after the Harshvardhan's regime is the 3 dynasties which emerged in the erstwhile ruled area of the Harshvardhan by 750. So these 3 dynasties are Pratihar Gurjaras, then and Rashtrakutas and Pal dynasty. With the end of their rule, ancient comes to an end. So you will have to see in these all parts which I have mentioned, you will have to see that what all initiatives they have taken, important underpinnings of this particular part. Then let's come to the medieval history. So what comes under the medieval history? The general division in the medieval history is the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal period. The timeline of the Delhi Sultanate is 1206 to 1526. Then 1206 से लेके 1526 तक. And then after the timeline of the Mughals is 1526 to 1707. Why 1707? Aurangzeb's death in 1707, and we consider 1707 onwards modern India. So these 2 periods would be there. In these 2 periods, as far as the Delhi Sultanate is concerned, so Delhi Sultanate mein the dynasties were Slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty, Tughlaq dynasty, and Sayyid and Lodhi dynasty. So in these all dynasties, important ruler, their initiatives, then what that important decisions they have taken. So for example, that Alauddin Khilji was often referred as the master of the market reform. Then, so what were those strategies, those initiatives of the Alauddin Khilji, because of which he is called as master of market reform? Then Muhammad bin Tughlaq is often referred as the person who experimented a lot but never succeeded. Then, so his famous experiments like the transfer of capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, which failed miserably. His famous initiative of the token currency, कि जब सिल्वर की कमी हो गई थी इंडिया में, so what he released that copper currency on the face value of silver, and what it led to duplicate currency all over Delhi. So these all initiatives you need to, it's just a few example I'm giving it to you. I'm just giving you the glimpse of it. So initiatives you will have to read, and then also their administration. For example, their administration, ICTA system, their administration, their currency, their further their economic policy. So that also you need to incorporate into the medieval part. Then comes the Mughal period. So Mughal is just one dynasty. And here you read about the rulers, starting from though the founder was the Babur, followed by Humayun, but then the real beginning was from the period of the Akbar. So Akbar followed by Jahangir and then Shah Jahan, and the last is the Aurangzeb. So once again, in this duration, in this tenure, what you need to see, their initiatives, okay, their initiatives, and so as their system of administration. So for example, Mughal system of administration is called as Mansabdari system. Then different type of the policies, their religious, their economic, their social, so everything would be in that particular part. And always keep in mind what I said, key terms are also asked in the exam. Then moreover, there were two regional dynasties at this time, and is though regional dynasties may say, one is very important for UPSC exam, that is the Vijayanagar kingdom. So during the tenure of the Muhammad bin Tughlaq, which was around 1324 to 1351, these two dynasties were there. One is the Vijayanagar and another is the emerged. So these two dynasties emerged, Vijayanagar and Bahmani kingdom. So Vijayanagar say time and again UPSC has asked questions. Then so n number of the time they have asked a question, and moreover this area has to be emphasized. Then so you'll be preparing for it, and so as the Mughal period you'll be preparing in the similar way. Now comes the modern history. So 1707, 1707, the death of the Aurangzeb, and Aurangzeb was the last of the mighty Mughal emperors, meaning that very powerful guy. Then very powerful guy who was holding the control on different parts of India, starting from the Guwahati to Kabul, and then starting from the Kashmir to Kanyakumari. He has this much influence. So his territory can be compared with the territory of the near closer territory of the Ashoka. So Aurangzeb, on one hand, he was very powerful. On the other hand, he was religiously very divisive. That he was not so tolerant towards the other communities. So there were many such bitter issues at his time. And in fact, many a times that his divisive policies are also a matter of debate. So that also you need to read. And in fact, there is an inquiry after the death of the Aurangzeb, that Aurangzeb was so powerful that he was controlling 90% of the Indian subcontinent. But what led to the rapid decline of that Mughal dynasty? That soon after his death, within 20 years itself, within 20 years of his death, the Mughal area 90% se 30% pe aa gaya. Then, so what were the reasons? So one of the reasons which is attributed is the policies of the Aurangzeb himself. He died, but that the policies were creating their repercussions after his death. So that is also an inquiry that you need to see, and one of the favorite question in the UPSC exam. Then after this particular part, that 1707, we are saying that this is the modern age. But in modern period or modern Indian history, there is a one foundation. Without that foundation, we cannot embark, we cannot start with the 1707. And what is the foundation? The arrival of the Europeans. Then, so the very first thing in the modern Indian history, and last 3-4 saal se, that UPSC, it seems like that UPSC's favorite topic has become advent of Europeans. Advent of Europeans, who are the Europeans? British, French, Portuguese, Dutch, okay? Mainly these four dynasties, these four Europeans. Danes were people of the Denmark were also there in India, but they never became very powerful. The most powerful were the Portuguese, then followed by the English, followed by the Dutch, and followed by the French. So these four European companies, they have come to India. And see, one more thing is to be understood. ऐसा नहीं है कि पहली बार आए हैं ये लोग, ठीक है? It's not like that they have come for the first time. There was a trade contact with these people from time immemorial. The point over here is direct sea route. So it is the Vasco da Gama 1498, the Portuguese, who found the direct sea route to India. And what was the route? He started from the Portugal, he circumnavigated Africa. अगर जो map हो तो मैं दिखा सकता हूँ तुम्हें, ठीक है? It's there. So he started from, this is the Portugal, this tower which is there, and he's starting from here. He's circumnavigating Africa, pura, and then he came to Somalia, and from Somalia he directly came to India. So this is the way he has followed. This is the direct sea route which he has followed. Then, and this was a new beginning in the Indian history. So new beginning in the Indian history, because arrival of the European companies, direct sea route, and then after Portuguese, 100 years, their dominance, and then after English, Dutch and the French have also arrived by 1664. 1600 से लेके 1664 के बीच में each and every company is there in India. Initially, their purpose was earning profit from the trade, but then later on, the purpose was also propagation of Christianity. And then the third purpose, which became more important, that was, you know what? That was the creating the colonies of theirs in the different parts of the world. So in general terms, it is called as that their purpose was God, gold, and glory. God for promotion of Christianity. Gold is profit, and glory means that imperialism, colonialism. And the blurred lines between the exploration, okay, turned into exploitation. So these people, they have established their firm consolidated rule in India by 1740, and understand. But then there are many dynamics that you need to understand. On one hand, there is a decline of Mughal. On the other hand, there is a rise of the many regional powers in India. So what are these regional powers? Regional powers in the form of the Bengal, Maratha, Mysore, Punjab, Awadh. Okay? So these all regional powers are emerging. And other dynamics is that on the other hand, British and French have fought. French have been defeated. And then after, British are trying to consolidate their position in India by not only fighting with the European companies, but on the other hand, regional powers also and Mughals also. In this regard, there was this very important battle that is known as the Battle of Buxar. Then and Battle of Buxar 1864, after which what happens that Britishers became equivalent to any Indian Raja. They got the revenue collection right of the Bihar, Bengal. And this is the turning point in the British history. And then after 1864 to 1857, they are almost controlling 75% area of India. So this is the phase of the exploitation, beginning of the phase of the exploitation. So in this phase, what must be your focus? The idea is not to tell you, not only to tell you a timeline, but also at the same point of time, that these all confrontation of the British and the regional powers and the Mughal, you will have to study. Then the questions can be expected, and who were the founders of these area, what were their initiatives also. So that will come in this particular part. Then comes the intermediate period of the Indian freedom struggle. And what is this intermediate period? 1857 revolt. Okay? So 1857 revolt, looking at the exploitation of the British, the way they have discriminated, the way they have exploited us, and the way they have taken our resources from India to their own country. The people of India were waiting for an opportunity, and that opportunity came in the 1857 revolt. There was some socio-religious sentiments which were hurt in the army, and actually it was started by the sepoys, then Sipahi. Okay? So it was started by the sepoys, and then it started from the Meerut, and then entire North India, Northwestern India, Central India, and Eastern India were engulfed in this particular 1857 revolt. And after that, that the Indian mutiny started. But then, though there was high fervor, but Indians were defeated. They were suppressed. The reason is that there was no sense of nationalism. Only the regionalistic fights were there. And now, the failure of the 57 revolt happened, but then it implanted the seed of the nationalism. And after that, the seed of the nationalism is going to grow in between 1858 to 1885. And it resulted into the foundation of the Congress. So Indian National Congress in 1885. So now here I'm going to tell you the part of the syllabus. Then, so the part of the syllabus, what has been mentioned in the syllabus, mains exam mein. So mains exam mein, they have divided syllabus into two parts. Modern ki baat kare to, okay? We are talking about the modern history. So two parts. So the very first part, they mentioned that history of the India from the middle of the 18th century. And what is middle of 18th century? 1750 onwards. Okay? So 1750 ke baad se. So 1750 onwards. Then they say that significant events, contributor and the contributions. Okay? So significant event, contributor and the contributions. So meaning that important personalities, what is their contribution and who were the other contributors. So that is the first part. Then comes the second part. Second part, they are specifically mentioned in the mains exam is that freedom struggle of India and the different phases of the freedom struggle of India. So now, so freedom struggle of India and the different phases of the freedom struggle of India. Then, so what are the different phases? एक बार ध्यान से समझना, क्या फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल में सिर्फ वायलेंट मेथड से या नॉन वायलेंट भी थे? दोनों थे. So these will be the different phases. So on one hand there are the non-violent methods like Gandhi's methods, ठीक है. So और गांधी के पहले भी, ठीक है, स्वदेशी movement, home rule movement, then many movements, and then Gandhi comes non-cooperation, civil disobedience movement. On the other hand, there are revolutionary, krantikari, then so their phases are also there. So you need to study these all different phases. Then and moreover, just for your information, we have come up with that some of the questions पे मैं आऊँगा, ठीक है, that what all questions are there. Some questions which are asked from the previous section, जो उसके पहले 1857 के पहले. तो 1857 के पहले the type of the questions that UPSC has asked. So before 1857 when the British rule has been established, so establish होने के बाद, then establish होने के बाद there are many acts and the policies which they have come up with. So for example कि starting from the 1764 to 1857 they are coming up with the many acts, regulating act of the 1773, charter act, then and charter acts till the 1853. उसके अलावा their police, their judiciary, their army, ठीक है, and then further their land revenue policy. So from that section, what are the type of the questions? So for example, by which of the following acts was the Governor General of Bengal designated as the Governor General of India? So the answer is the Charter Act of the 1833. So this is one such, this is the type of the question. It is this year paper, इस साल के paper का question है, ठीक है? Then in the Government of India, this is last year paper question. So in the Government of India Act 1919, the functions of the provincial government were divided into reserved and transferred subjects. Which of the following were treated as reserved subject? Then, so administration of justice, local self-government, land revenue, police. Then, so local self-government को छोड़ के बाकी तीनों were the answer. It's not about telling you the answer. It's all about that कि किस type के question आपसे पूछे जाते हैं, ठीक है? So what type of the questions they are asking you. And this is a fixed pattern of the question that every year from the acts and the commissions, then they will be asking one or two questions, ठीक है? So one or two questions, and यहाँ पे even there is a bridge between the history and polity, because what you see in the acts and commission, that is the foundation of the polity in the beginning. So you start polity with the foundation of these all acts and commissions. I hope you got it. So एक question ये 1857 के पहले का, and this question is from the freedom struggle part, that after 1885. You got it? Then let's come to so the next part. अब just wait 1 minute. Oh, it has ended. ठीक है? So I'll do this exercise then once again. So anyways, I'll tell you what is there. So we have started with the foundation of the Congress. Now foundation of the Congress has happened, and after the foundation of the Congress, the Indian freedom struggle starts with a moderate phase. इस phase में कोई mass movement नहीं था. No mass movement was initiated. It was all about awareness among the people. Then this continues from 1885 to 1905. And in this phase, people are made aware. And it's a reality that you cannot participate, you cannot fight for yourself if you are not aware. You cannot prepare for this exam if you're not aware. Then, and how you become aware? What is your awareness? The syllabus. What you'll become, what positions you'll be holding, what challenges will be there before you, and then how you will be regarded in the society. So there are many type of the awareness which are ingrained in the preparation of this exam. So as over here, people when they are not aware, so they cannot fight. Then, so the very first phase was about awareness. But then all of a sudden what happened? In 1905, British have divided Bengal on the basis of the religion. Hindu and Muslim, East Bengal and West Bengal. West Bengal for the Hindus and East Bengal for the Muslims. So this communal divide led to the mass movement. And the very first movement was the Swadeshi and boycott. So there was this question of the Swadeshi and boycott. Usko ek baar laga do. So this question, you see, now, why I'm referring to you this Swadeshi and boycott question, because in the history part also, many a times UPSC is experimenting कि थोड़ा सा current affair and one statement from the current affair and one statement from the static part. So, question, नहीं, रुको, इसके ऊपर वाला, fine. So now have a look at it. So consider the following statement. 7th August is declared as the 7th August is declared as the National Handloom Day. Then, and it was in 1905 that Swadeshi movement was launched on the same time. So 7th August ko hi, everybody knows that when you are studying the history, so then you get to know that ki 7th August, the Swadeshi movement started, because the announcement happened on the 19th of July, which was done by the Viceroy Curzon. So this information you know, but how come you will get to this information? So that is a current affair thing. It was in the news that this government of the Prime Minister Modi ji, that he initiated this National Handloom Day in 1915. So ये current का aspect हो गया, ठीक है? And the second part is the static part. So these type of the questions are also asked. Then, as far as the Acts and Commission I was mentioning, so you see, with reference to the proposals of the Cripps mission, consider the following statement. So this is also related to the Acts and Commissions, and Cripps mission question was there in the 2021. Then, so each and every year you will be finding these type of question, and believe me, for the very first instance, ये questions देखे, चूंकि पढ़ा नहीं है तुमने, तो it might seem difficult or it might seem something vague to you, but then once you start, these are the easiest question. Then, so modern as compared to the ancient and medieval is a easier section. An easier section not in terms of remembering, but easier section in terms of scoreability. कि यहाँ पे अगर ज़्यादा पढ़ते हैं तो score बढ़ने के chances ज़्यादा होते हैं. Then, let's come to the next part. So, this entire phase. So, Swadeshi movement. Then, after the Swadeshi and boycott movement, then revolutionary phases are also going on, in which the Gadar movement happened. And apart from it, 1915, entry of the Gandhi in the Indian scenario, and then his movement, starting from his regional intervention, meaning कि regional issues पे that he is trying to he's trying to influence the British authority, like Champaran, then Kheda, then Ahmedabad mill strike, and then after he started All India movement like Rowlatt Satyagraha. After Rowlatt, Jallianwala Bagh massacre happened, and massacre होने के बाद he decided that he'll be launching much bigger movement, and that was the non-cooperation movement. So these movements, I'm just referring, but these movements, everything, they are important. What were the developments? What was the British response during this development? What Gandhi achieved? What happened to Gandhi? What happened to other people? So the possible questions from this side. In fact, in the mains examination also, the analysis of the, for example, that what were the outcomes of the non-cooperation movement, or how come non-cooperation movement and the civil disobedience movement were not similar. So these kind of comparisons could be there in the mains examination. Then after this part, Gandhian part will continue till civil disobedience, and last में Quit India movement in the 1942. But उसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे movement चल रहे हैं. It's not just the Gandhi who has launched the only movement, but there are a number of the other movements which are going on, and which includes the Krantikari movements also, revolutionary movements also. So the first phase of the revolutionary movement was associated with the Aurobindo Ghosh, Barendranath Ghosh, and V.D. Savarkar, then Anusilan Samiti. The second phase was associated with the Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, that is 1924 to 34. And the last phase is about the Subhash Chandra Bose, 1942 to 47. So there is a parallel movement which is also going on. On one hand, Gandhi has launched 1942. On the other hand, Subhash Chandra Bose is going with the Azad Hind Fauj. Then, so different developments in this period, and moreover, British Acts and Commission. So these are the parts of your syllabus from where the questions are asked. Now, one more thing I will add in this particular part is basically that they also ask, okay, in mains examination particularly, they also ask comparison of the personality. Comparison of the personality, जैसे इस बात को समझना, that comparison between the personality of the Gandhi and Ambedkar, ये question कई बार पूछ चुके हैं. Then Gandhi and Bose, Subhash Chandra Bose, that how they were similar and different. Then, and so as the comparison, last year question, comparison of the thought process of the Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. So comparison questions are also one of the favorite in the mains examination. And personalities are very important. ये बात ध्यान रखना, that every year paper, the freedom struggle personalities would be asked, or famous personalities would be asked in the prelims examination, and mains may they give it in the combined form or the comparative form. So this is what is about. There is a one more question of it. So now, this is related to the history, ancient and medieval history part. It is given in the new NCRTs. So for example, with reference to Indian history, these names, Alexander Rhea, Longhurst, Robert Swell, James Burgess, Walter Elliot were associated with. So they were archaeological excavators. इनके नाम एनसीईआरटीज में दिए हुए हैं, ठीक है। तो ये एक फाइंड आउट करना होता है। Then the second question you see that consider the following freedom fighters: Barinder Kumar Ghosh, Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, Ras Bihari Bose. Who of the above were associated with the Gadar party? So this was last year question. पिछले साल का पेपर का था, इस साल का नहीं. And who was the associated with this? So हाँ, Ras Bihari Bose, ठीक है. He was the one who was guiding it over there in the northwestern part of India. So see that it is not about the answer, but it is about the knowing that what UPSC is asking nowadays in the paper. I hope you got it. So now, modern का समझ में आ गया, ठीक है. Then history in the mains exam, whatever I mentioned to you, this is what is in the syllabus. And let's come to the part which is mentioned in the mains exam. Prelims में बिल्कुल नहीं है, ठीक है. So you don't need to be worried about these two sections in the prelims exam, but for mains exam you will have to prepare. Done. And what is that? So world history. Okay, so world history was newly added part in the GS syllabus from 2013 onwards. Uske pehle, before 2013 in mains exam, it wasn't asked, but 2013 onwards they started asking this. So basically it's not about that entire history that you need to know the history of the China, you need to know the history of the America too deeply. Nothing. It's not like this. See, world history from that perspective which has shaped the world order. Then, so important event which has guided the world, which has guided in the formation of the nation states, and which has guided the world order, globalized order. So for example, let's understand that some of the industrial revolutions, then, so industrial revolutions like, which country, can you tell me that which country was the first to go into the industrial revolution? England, okay? So Britain was the first country. Then Britain was the first country, but it was not the only country. Then what happened? There was an industrial revolution in the Germany. There was industrial revolution in France, Japan, and so as in America. So these are the important events. And in fact, whatever developments, whatever achievements were there in these all countries, they guided the other countries. We also started to follow in the footsteps of these all countries. So from this perspective, world history is important. But then there are many ideological dimensions also which has happened at this point of time. So for example, later stage पे या फिर college में भी अगर जो तुम humanities पढ़ते हो, so you must be knowing that we often talk about leftist, rightist, centrist, communism. Have you heard these words? So these are the ideological dimensions. कि किस ideology? Then, so for example, that since you said that you are not much aware, leftist we generally say that rightist means that nationalistic orientation, leftist means that more poor orientation, poor people orientation, centrist दोनों तरफ चल रहे हैं, ठीक है? So दोनों तरफ, मतलब trying to balance between the two. So these all ideological dimensions, they developed at this point of time, and the personalities who were responsible for these ideological dimensions, like Karl Marx, have you heard name? Karl Marx, ठीक है, that Max Weber. So what was their contribution in the world history scenario? And then after comes the stage of the world wars, ठीक है, World War I and World War II. And World War I and World War II, it completely changed the world order, and it led to the creation of the global organization, that is the United Nations. Then, and moreover, very often, ठीक है, that whenever, now we are just in the midst of the Third World War. I hope you understand. It might happen, or we will pray that it may not happen. But then, which body will become important when if these kind of developments are happening? Israel, take care. Israel, and then Iran abhi happening. Israel, and then Palestine is happening, and so as the Russia, Ukraine. So in this situation, role of the UN becomes very important. Then to meddle in these affairs. So this all developments, how it happened because of the previous World War and the realization among the different countries of the world that this way the world cannot operate. So that you need to study in this part. Now, art and culture भी बचा हुआ है, but उसके अलावा post independence is also one of the part. So post independence is basically the developments which happened after the India's independence. So different that prime ministers of India, and under them what were the new initiatives and some controversial issues also. Then, so these will be the part of the post independence. But post independence say, till this date, in last 11 years, UPSC has asked only 4 questions, and 4 questions में से in the very first year, 3 questions were there. उसके बाद सिर्फ एक question पूछा है last के 10 year में. So from this section, they haven't asked much question, but then still it is in the syllabus. Now let's come to the art and culture part. So art and culture is also one very important section in both the stages of exam, चाहे वो prelims हो या फिर then mains stage of exam हो. In both the stages, it is very important. And then that in prelim stage of exam, 5 to 6 questions they are asking, ठीक है? And in mains stage of exam, 2 to 3 questions are asked in the mains stage of exam. And what will be under the category of the art and culture? So understand that what generally, from which all areas they are asking the questions, or what is mentioned in the syllabus. Architecture of India from ancient to modern time, and modern का मतलब है British period. So ancient to that from Indus Valley civilization, Maurya period, Gupta period, then and so as the temple architecture of India and the Indo-Islamic medieval architecture of India, Mughal architecture of India, and finally there till the British architecture of India. So these all architectures, it is a very important section. Very often UPSC every year there would be question from this section. फिर उसके अलावा the religion and the philosophy of India, Buddhism, Jainism, ठीक है, Ajivika, then Charvak, and then the philosophies like Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisesika, Mimans, and Vedanta. And apart from it, what else is there? Classical dances of India. So 8 classical forms are there. 8 dances have been given classical status, starting from the Bharatnatyam, then Mohiniyattam, Kuchipudi, Kathakali, Odissi, Satariya, Manipuri, and Kathak. So these 8 classical forms, and the classical music of India, Hindustani classical music and Carnatic classical music. So these are the sections. इसके अलावा भी there are few other subtopics also in the culture, like the folk culture of India, ठीक है, paintings of India, and one of the very important topic, from this topic in last 5 years UPSC has asked 7 questions in the prelims paper. The section is the language and literature of India. So language and literature will include Sanskrit literature, very widely Sanskrit literature, then Buddhist literature, then Jain literature, and uske alawa the Tamil literature. So these are the sections from where UPSC has asked n number of the questions. If you want, so you can further give major emphasis to these all areas. So this is the talk about the history. Then, but then can you tell me that, since I am in the last leg of the class, so can you tell me that why to study history? Why this is important in this exam? Why it is important for you? Exam bhi chhod do, theek hai? Why it is important for anybody to know history? Can you tell? Even see that, make it interactive. Yeah, please. Batao. Very good, exactly. हम कौन थे, हम क्या हो गए, क्या होंगे अभी? Then this is a very important question. And for a question, nahi, this is a very important observation that you have done. So history is quintessential for all of us. Then, for example, that we all have attached history with us. And what is my history? My father, my grandfather, their culture, their food, their language. Then, and that has been passed on to me. Their culture, their food, their behavior, their values, their morals have been passed on to me. That is my history. We all have a history. So without history, we don't have identity. Then, so history is our identity. It shapes our identity. Moreover, if you don't know the history, so you are a man in a flesh and bone without any nerves and any blood. So you must have the knowledge of the history. Moreover, history is a very important document, or history is very important to know the lessons of the history, the legacies of the history, and on the basis of it to decide the future discourse of the present times. Then, so history has n number of the lessons, and history has the lessons in the negative way also, in the positive way also. And when we know that what has happened in the past, so then you take a very considered decision, a mature decision. If you don't know, so you can't take a mature decision. Then, so it's very important to know the history. In fact, the political discourse of any country is also decided on the basis of the history. Then, so it is important, and that's why it holds a very important place in the exam. So now I'm telling you that what are the number of the questions which they have asked in the previous year paper in UPSC exam. So 4 साल का ही बता रहा हूँ. So in last 4 years, that the general pattern in the last 10 years, that 18 questions out of the 100 questions you can expect from the history prelims exam mein. And what will be which all sections will be there in the prelims exam? So ancient, medieval, art and culture, and modern history. no world, no post independence. Then, and as far as the GS paper is concerned in the mains stage of exam, so 250 number का paper होता है, 250 marks paper 1, and in that 250 marks paper 1 you can expect 85 to 90 marks dedicated to the history, which will also include world history and post independence. Then, so this is the importance of this part. Now the last part of this is basically that कहाँ से अपने स्टडी स्टार्ट करोगे, ठीक है? सो फ्रॉम वेयर यू विल बी स्टार्टिंग योर स्टडी. क्या अभी बेसिकली कहाँ से स्टार्ट कर सकते हो हिस्ट्री पढ़ना? इफ यू हैव एनी सच आइडिया, कैन यू टेल मी? या एनी सच ओल्ड एनसीईआरटीज, ठीक है, एज सी सेड, एंड विच क्लास? So chalo, I'll guide you in this regard. So since you are embarking on this journey, so just start with the NCERTs. You can later, in the later stage, you can add on some other books also, but then you will have to start with the NCERT. Why NCERT is important? Because that is the central book. If the UPSC has to be giving the answers, so that has to be in line with the NCERTs. If it is not in line with the NCERTs, so then it can be opposed and contested. So NCERT you will be starting, but then not all the NCERTs. Okay, there are n number of the NCERT, 6 से लेके 12 तक n number of the NCERTs are there. So as far as the this one is concerned, that old or ancient history is concerned, so you can start with the old NCERT Arya Sharma, class 11th, and the new NCERT themes in Indian history part 1. So ek old, ek new. This is how you need to go. See, you don't need to neglect the new NCERTs also. न्यू एनसीईआरटी से क्वेश्चंस ऑब्वियसली न्यू है, तो न्यू से क्वेश्चंस तो आएंगे ही. इट हैज बीन, दिस न्यू एनसीईआरटी हैज बीन फ्रेम्ड इन द प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट्स टाइम, सो ऑब्वियसली दैट देयर वुड बी द क्वेश्चंस. देन सो you will have to keep one old NCERT, one new NCERT. So for ancient India, Arya Sharma, old NCERT, which is class 11th, and new NCERT themes in Indian history part 1, new NCERT, ये भी class 11th. Then for medieval India, so for medieval India, Satish Chandra, old NCERT, and for the new NCERT themes in Indian history part 2. Then when it comes to the new NCERT, sorry, that modern Indian history. So in modern Indian history, old में class 8th Arjun Dev, and then new में themes in Indian history part 3. So ये all the theme books are class 11th book. And the old NCERT, what I have mentioned, for ancient Arya Sharma and for medieval Satish Chandra, these are in class 11th, and in class 8th, Arjun Dev, old NCERT. So this is how you can begin with. As far as the world history part is concerned, don't be too fussy about it कि बहुत सारे books करने हैं. You can plainly go with one of the old NCERT of Arjun Dev on world history. That will be enough for this time. But world history, I would better say that you can read in between prelims and mains. So you can leave it right now, world history and post-independence. Moreover, for art and culture. So for art and culture also, these NCERTs itself will be having many aspects of the art and culture. And then you can use the Visions open resources also. Okay? So open resources से भी काफी सारे art and culture के that important articles and the things you'll be getting. And moreover, it doesn't matter that from wherever you study, whatever place you go, but then you can always use our open resources. You can download the relevant materials and you can study from it. Then, so if you have any last question, you can ask me, and I will be winding up the session with that last question related to history. So if you have any question, please let me know. Anyone? Medieval, Satish Chandra, old NCERT of class 11th, and new NCERT themes in Indian history part 2. So these are the things which you need to refer to. Then, so yes, please. No, that is not NCERT. That's, I wanted this question, and thanks you asked. Tamil Nadu, when we are adding Tamil Nadu, so it cannot be NCERT. It is state textbook. Every state has a textbook. UP has a textbook. Okay? And every state, Bihar has a textbook. So Tamil Nadu is better for the Tamil Nadu PCS. Okay? If the exam मान लो एक information कोई पूछ लिया, ठीक है? And there is always a little bit of change in the history part. What is the version of the Tamil Nadu text cannot be similar to the NCERTs. So what if suppose that there is a issue in one question, Tamil Nadu के book में अलग answer है और then NCERTs में अलग है. Which UPSC will take into the consideration? NCERT or Tamil Nadu? NCERT. So for UPSC exam, you will have to stick to the NCERT. No state textbook. State textbook otherwise पढ़ा जा सकता है, but no. And then modern के लिए later on in the later stage you can further add either of these that एक इसमें से कोई किताब you can add either Spectrum or Bipin Chandra. ठीक है? Bipin Chandra में भी Penguin publication, not any other publication. So for further value addition, out of these two books you can add in modern Indian history. Then, so I hope that you all are joining us then, and you are soon, I'll be seeing you in the classes. So hope to see these faces once again and will embark on the new journey. So now, congratulating you for embarking on this UPSC journey and then taking preparation very seriously. So I will hand over the session to the next faculty. Analytical questions in history. See, it all depends that you'll have to come up with the analytical questions first. That what are the analytical questions? So analytical questions किस way में? Prelims में या mains में? ठीक है? Mains exam में, obviously, answer writing is most important. See, that you do the analysis. You are able to do the analysis when you go into the brainstorming, when you go into a hell lot of writing. So in that particular part, answer writing becomes very important. And actually, it is the process. Analysis is something which doesn't happen overnight. It takes a hell lot of effort and perseverance. Then, so continuous effort. So for that, you will have to use the test series then, or you will have to go through the previous year paper. या तो टेस्ट सीरीज यूज करो या प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर यूज करो, राइट द आंसर्स एंड गेट इट इवैल्यूएटेड. इवन इवैल्यूएशन इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट्स बिकॉज इन एनालिसिस यू नीड टू बी गाइडेड. इट डजंट हैपन ओवरनाइट. इट कैन नॉट बी समड अप इन वन वर्ड कि अभी जैसे मान लो कोई मैजिकल वर्ड है मैं बता दूं और एनालिसिस आ जाएगा. नहीं होता है because it takes time and your mind is that has to be bent in that direction. It has to be honed in that direction. So that's what makes this exam little difficult. But then it is difficult, it is not impossible. And we are not human beings if we are not able to solve the difficult task. We are not here to be laid back. Then we are here to be taking challenges and solving those challenges. So chalo, with this note, so I hope the session, yeah, you can ask. बिल्कुल कर सकते हो. अरे इनफैक्ट ये एग्जाम ही इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी है. देन दैट एक इन्फॉर्मेशन दूसरी जगह मिक्स होता है. जैसे एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल मैं तुम्हें बताऊंगा. इन मेंस एग्जाम देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन अबाउट दैट हाउ इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन प्रोवाइड्स इनपुट टू द कंटेम्पररी सिविलाइजेशन. बट देन द क्वेश्चन वाज अबाउट द क्रिटिकली एनालाइज का मतलब कि कहीं डिसएग्रीमेंट भी होना चाहिए. ठीक है. सो डिसएग्रीमेंट, सो ऑब्वियसली दैट हाउ कम यू विल बी ब्रिंगिंग द डिसएग्रीमेंट, बिकॉज इफ यू रीड द हिस्ट्री, so then you will not find the answer. But you need to have the current environment knowledge. Then you can bring the disagreement कि आज के टाइम पे क्या परेशानियां हैं. जैसे बहुत सिंपल सी बात बता रहा हूं, क्या ट्रैफिक का प्रॉब्लम इंडस वैली सॉल्व कर सकता है? नहीं कर सकता है. बिकॉज इंडस वैली में देयर वाज नो ट्रैफिक, देयर वाज नो मोटर व्हीकल. गेटिंग इट? No motor vehicle. Then can Indus Valley solve the problem of the drains? तुम लोग मुखर्जी नगर रहते हो, आई होप, मतलब ओल्ड दिस पर्टिकुलर जीटीबी नगर एंड मुखर्जी नगर, दैट रेन्स, हैव यू सीन दैट यू विल दैट दिस पर्टिकुलर मेट्रो स्टेशन इटसेल्फ, इट्स ऑल फ्लडेड. आई हैव सीन दिस एरिया. एक बार अच्छे से बरसात हो जाए तो पूरा मुखर्जी नगर डूब जाता है. देन सो विल दैट प्रॉब्लम विल बी सॉल्व्ड बाय द इंडस वैली ड्रेनेज? नो. द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ द ड्रेनेज टुडेज टाइम इज द प्लास्टिक. इंडस वैली में तो प्लास्टिक था ही नहीं. सो दिस इज बिकमिंग interdisciplinary. You will have to bring that interdisciplinary approach in it, and that comes through that thought process, which we will be there to guide you in this regard. And then moreover, the answer writing would also be the part of it. ठीक है? So chalo, I hope this session is going to be a little insightful for you, and then it will help you in your early UPSC preparation. Hope to meet you in the classes, and I'm passing the baton to the next faculty. He'll be there for the geography classes. Okay? So, have I told my name? No. So I'm Neeraj Rao, and it's very, so I'm Neeraj Rao, and I'm one of the oldest faculties of the institute. Right from the inception, I am the one who is responsible for this particular section: history, art and culture, ancient, medieval, these all things. So hopefully if you're joining, so you'll be seeing me time and again. Thank you. Best of luck to all of you.